I woke up in a world where monsters ruled, each king more terrifying than the last. My bed was a pile of straw in a dark, damp cell. Chains clinked around my wrists, a stark reminder of my new life as a slave. First thing in the morning, I was dragged before King Gorith, a giant with tusks and eyes that burned like coals. He laughed, his voice like thunder. "You'll marry all the kings to live, slave." I didn't have time to argue. Guards shoved me towards the next kingdom, where King Vex awaited, his scales glinting under the harsh sunlight. His proposal was quick, sealed with a cold, scaly handshake. "Next," he roared, and I was off again. Each king had his own castle, each one a fortress of horror. King Zoller of the Ice Kingdom proposed amidst blizzards, his breath frosting the air. I barely felt the chill, my mind racing with survival plans. But in the Fire Kingdom, with King Blaze, I noticed something odd. His eyes flickered with worry, not just rage. He whispered to his advisors, but they seemed to ignore him, their eyes cold and calculating. I married King Shroud in the Shadow Realm, where the darkness was so thick you could taste it. Here I overheard whispers, secrets about a rebellion. It seemed not all monsters were happy with their kings. The pattern continued, each marriage a blur of fear and strategy. But as I moved from kingdom to kingdom, I started putting pieces together. The kings were not just marrying me to keep a slave. They were fearful of something bigger. In the Water Kingdom, King Maris had a slip of the tongue. "She must marry us all or the prophecy fails," he muttered to his general. Prophecy? My heart raced. What prophecy? My suspicions grew with each king. In the Earth Kingdom, King Terra's handshake was too firm, his eyes too sharp. He knew something, and I guessed it was time to act. I began to listen more, watch more. I noticed guards whispering in corners, maps spread out with markers not of war, but of escape routes. There was unrest, a silent rebellion brewing beneath the surface. At my last marriage, in the Sky Kingdom with King Arrow, I decided to confront him. "What prophecy?" I demanded as the wind howled around us. His face turned pale, the first sign of fear I'd seen from any king. "You've united us, but for what?" I pressed. He hesitated, then whispered, "To keep the ancient beasts asleep. If you don't marry us all, they wake, and this world ends." Before he could explain more, a guard burst in. "The rebellion has begun. They're attacking the castles." Chaos erupted. Kings scrambled. Alliances shattered. I was caught in the middle, not just a pawn, but now a key to survival or destruction. As the night fell, with battles raging around every castle, I knew one thing for sure. I had to find out about this prophecy, and fast. Because if I didn't, not just my life, but the entire Monsterland was at stake. And that's where we leave off, with the sounds of war echoing, and my journey far from over. The night was split by the clash of steel and the roar of monsters. I escaped King Arrow's castle, diving into the chaos below. My mind raced. I needed to find the truth about the prophecy. I weaved through the battle, dodging fireballs and shadow tendrils, until I stumbled into a hidden cave behind the waterfall in King Maris's territory. There, hidden among ancient carvings, was a group of rebels. They eyed me warily, but then recognized me as the one who had married their oppressors. One, a beast with fur like midnight, stepped forward. "You're the key to our freedom," he said, his voice rough but urgent. But not how the kings think. He led me to an old stone tablet, covered in symbols I couldn't read. "This prophecy," he explained, "says you unite us, but not in marriage. You lead us." My heart skipped. Led? Me? But there was no time for doubt. They handed me a map, marked with a path to an ancient temple where the real power lay, the power to either wake or keep asleep the ancient beasts. We set out, a ragtag band of rebels from different kingdoms, each with their own grudge against their king. As we traveled, I noticed strange behaviors among my new companions. Whispered arguments, secretive glances. The tension was palpable. We reached the temple just as dawn broke, its entrance hidden by vines and guarded by ancient magic. Inside, the air was thick with dust, and the echoes of old power. We found the heart of the temple, a chamber with a crystal orb, pulsating with energy. But then a twist. One of my supposed allies, a serpentine creature named Sira, hissed, "You've served your purpose." She revealed her true allegiance to the kings, to keep me from discovering the orb's true power. A fight broke out. I was pushed, nearly falling into a dark pit, when another rebel, a towering figure named Hroth, saved me. "Not all of us are traitors," he grunted, throwing Sira back. The battle was fierce, but we managed to subdue the betrayer. With the chamber now ours, I approached the orb. It glowed brighter as I neared, showing visions of the future where I either saved or doomed this world. But just as I was about to touch it, a new threat emerged. The ground shook, and from the shadows, a figure even older than the kings appeared, the guardian of the beasts. His voice was like the creaking of the earth itself. "You are not ready," he boomed. He explained the orb wasn't just about control but understanding. "You must learn more, see more, before you decide this world's fate," he warned. With that, he vanished, leaving us in the silent temple, the orb now dark. The rebels looked at me, waiting for a decision. I knew one thing. This journey was far from over. We needed more knowledge, more allies, and perhaps more betrayals. We left the temple, the dawn light now harsh, the path ahead unclear but necessary. And that's where our story takes its next breath, with the prophecy's full weight upon my shoulders and a world of monsters and mysteries waiting just beyond the horizon. We left the temple, the sun now high in the sky, casting long shadows over the land. We had to find answers, but where? Hroth suggested visiting the Seer of the Sands, a mystic who lived in the desert beyond the Ice Kingdom. Our journey was harsh, the sand blistering underfoot. But every step was a step closer to the truth. Finally, we reached a tent, barely visible against the dunes. Inside, an old creature, more bones than flesh, awaited us. The seer, with eyes like polished onyx, spoke in riddles. "The orb you seek to understand is but a tool, shaped by the will of its wielder." But then, she dropped a bombshell. "The kings you married, they are not the last of their line. There is another." Before we could ask more, a sandstorm hit. We were forced to stay, huddled in her tent. During the night, I overheard the seer whispering to Hroth, "The child of all kings will challenge her." My heart sank. A child? Who could this be? Morning came, and with it, a plan. We had to find this child before the kings did. The seer pointed us towards the labyrinth forest, a place of whispers and secrets. We entered the forest, the trees so dense they seemed to close in on us. Suddenly, from nowhere, arrows flew. We were ambushed, not by monsters, but by humans, a group of survivors from my world, led by a fierce woman named Mira. She eyed me with distrust, but listened when I spoke of the prophecy and the child. "We protect one here," she admitted, "a child with the blood of all the kings." We didn't have time to celebrate. The kings were coming. King Goritha's roar echoed through the trees. The battle was immediate and brutal. Amidst the chaos, I saw the child, a small, fierce-eyed girl, hidden in roots. But just when I thought we had the upper hand, another twist. Hroth, who had saved me before, turned against us, revealing he had been playing both sides. He grabbed the child, aiming to deliver her to the kings for his own gain. I chased after him, the forest a blur around me. I caught up just as he reached the edge of the forest, where the kings waited. With a desperate leap, I tackled Hroth, and we both fell, the child slipping from his grasp into mine. The kings, seeing their chance slipping away, attacked. But then, from the forest, came reinforcements, Mira and her people, along with some of the rebels from the temple, who had followed us. The fight was fierce, but we managed to retreat back into the labyrinthine woods, the child safe for now. We needed a new plan, a new place to hide, but more importantly, we needed to understand what this child meant to the prophecy. As we regrouped, I looked at the child, her eyes meeting mine with an intensity that seemed too wise for her years. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about her. And with that realization, our story continued, the path ahead more uncertain than ever, but the stakes higher, clearer. We moved quickly through the labyrinth forest, the child in my arms. The kings wouldn't give up easily. We needed a safe place, somewhere even they couldn't reach. Mira led us to an underground network of caves, known only to her people. It was dark, damp, but secure. We settled in, but the tension was thick. The child, with her piercing gaze, watched everything, eerily silent. We planned our next move, but something felt off. I noticed whispers between some of the rebels, secretive glances. Were there more traitors among us? I couldn't shake the feeling. One night, I followed two of the rebels who seemed too eager to leave. They met with someone at the cave's entrance, another king, King Vex, his scales shimmering even in the dim light. They were selling us out. I rushed back, but it was too late. The cave entrance exploded, rocks tumbling down. We were trapped, and the kings were closing in. Panic spread, but the child stood calm, her small hand gripping mine. Miraculously, there was another way out, a narrow, hidden tunnel that Mira knew. We escaped, but the tunnel led us into the heart of the Earth Kingdom, right into King Terra's territory. We were surrounded by Earth golems, but then, the child did something unexpected. She whispered to the ground, and the golems parted, bowing as if she commanded them. This twist threw everyone for a loop. Was she controlling the very Earth? We used this chance to flee, but now, the kings knew, this child wasn't just a descendant, she held power over their realms. We made camp in a secluded valley, but the child's power worried me. What if she was the key to waking those ancient beasts? I decided to confront her, asking if she knew what she was. She spoke for the first time, her voice clear and strong. I am the balance. I can wake them or keep them asleep. But I need the orb. This revelation hit like a ton of bricks. The orb wasn't just a tool, it was a key, and this child was the lock. Before we could plan further, another surprise, King Blaze appeared, not with malice but with urgency. The others will destroy everything to get her, he said. But I've seen another way. We must unite, not just the kings, but all of Monsterland. He proposed a truce, a meeting of all kings, all rebels, at the neutral ground by the Great Lake. It was a gamble, but what choice did we have? We arrived at the lake, the tension palpable. All the kings were there, their eyes on the child, who stood unyieldingly beside me. Negotiations began, but suspicion lingered. Suddenly, from the waters, a massive creature rose, an ancient beast, woken by the chaos, not by the child or the orb, but by the sheer conflict itself. It roared, ready to destroy everything. The child, with a calm that belied her years, stepped forward. She placed her hands on the ground, and the earth trembled, then settled. The beast calmed, lying down as if in sleep. Silence fell. The child had shown her power, not just to control, but to maintain balance. The kings, now seeing the true threat, agreed to peace, for now. But as we left the lake, the child whispered to me, "This peace is fragile. We must find the orb, or the next beast will not be so easily quelled." And with that, our story continued, with more dangers, more secrets to uncover, and the weight of Monsterland's fate resting on our shoulders. We set out to find the orb, knowing the peace was only temporary. The child, now known as Alara, guided us. She sensed the orb's location, deep within the Forbidden Mountains, a place even monsters feared. The journey was treacherous, through valleys and over peaks, each step a battle against nature itself. But a new problem arose. King Gorith, still unconvinced of peace, sent his minions after us, wanting Alara for his own power. We were ambushed at the foot of the mountain. The fight was fierce, but we managed to push through, thanks to Alara's control over Earth. She created a landslide, burying our pursuers. Reaching the mountain's peak, we found an entrance to an ancient temple hidden by time and magic. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of age. We moved forward, the walls depicting the history of Monsterland, showing the wars between kings and beasts. But then, another twist. Alara stopped, her eyes wide with fear. "There's another," she whispered. We turned to see King Arrow, his wings folding as he landed behind us. "I never agreed to this peace," he sneered. The confrontation was swift. Arrow used wind to try and push us into a pit, but Alara countered, the earth rising to block his attacks. The battle was so intense that part of the temple collapsed, revealing a chamber below, where the orb lay. We descended, Arrow following, his greed for power clear in his eyes. Inside, the orb glowed, pulsing with an eerie light. Alara approached it, but Arrow lunged. I pushed him back, but in the chaos, he managed to touch the orb. A surge of energy exploded, throwing us all back. When the dust settled, Arrow was changed, his body twisted, power coursing through him, but uncontrolled. He laughed maniacally, now more beast than king. Alara, acting quickly, placed her hands on the orb. It glowed brighter, and suddenly, the energy calmed, flowing into her. She spoke, her voice echoing with authority. "This power is not for one, but for all to balance." Arrow, now a creature of chaos, attacked again, but Alara used the orb's power, binding him with earth and wind, a prison of elements. But our victory was short-lived. Another rumble shook the temple, not from our fight, but from something deeper. Another beast, awakened by Arrow's touch on the orb, was rising from the depths of the earth. We had to leave, but Alara insisted on taking the orb. "We must master it, or more will wake," she said. We escaped as the temple crumbled behind us, the beast's roars echoing. Back in the open air, we looked down at the land below, now more united but still fragile. Alara, with the orb, was our hope, but also our greatest risk. As we planned our next move, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. With Arrow now a beast, and others possibly following, our journey was far from over, the fate of Monsterland hanging by a thread. We headed back to the rebel base, Alara clutching the orb tightly. The beast that Arrow had awakened was causing havoc, its roars shaking the land. We had to act fast. At base, King Blaze and the others waited, worry etched on their faces. Alara, now the key to controlling the orb, suggested we go to the Nexus Point, a place where all elemental energies converge. She believed there, she could stabilize the orb's power. We set out, the journey quick but tense. The land was in chaos, with creatures fleeing from the beast. Reaching the Nexus, a natural amphitheater surrounded by towering crystals, we felt the energy pulsating beneath our feet. Alara placed the orb in the center, its light casting shadows on the crystals. She began a ritual, drawing energy from the elements to bind the orb's power, but something was wrong. The orb resisted, glowing erratically. Suddenly, from the shadows, King Goroth emerged, his tusks gleaming with malice. "You think you can control this?" he bellowed, challenging Alara. Before we could react, he attempted to seize the orb. Chaos ensued. Alara, with a newfound strength, countered Goroth's force with a burst of combined elemental energy, pushing him back. But this distraction was enough for the beast to find us, its massive form looming over the Nexus. The fight was desperate. Alara, with the orb, tried to calm the beast, but it was too late. Its rage was too deep. She then did something surprising. She shared the orb's power with me, giving me control over fire. We fought together, fire and earth against the beast's might. But just when we thought we had the upper hand, another twist. King Vex appeared, revealing he had been playing both sides. "I want peace, but on my terms," he hissed, aiming to claim the orb. The battle turned three-way. Vex tried to use his water powers to douse my flames, but Alara countered with wind, creating a storm around us. In the melee, I noticed Vex's eyes. They were not just on the orb, but on Alara with a look of betrayal. Just then Alara whispered to me, "He's not alone. There's a traitor among us." My suspicions peaked. I scanned our group, seeing odd behaviors, especially from one of our healers, who seemed too calm amidst the chaos. The healer, a figure I trusted, suddenly moved toward Alara, not to help but to take the orb. But Alara was ready, using the earth to trap him. His true allegiance was revealed. He was a spy for King Shroud, who had stayed silent until now, watching from the shadows. With this revelation, the battle shifted. Shroud joined, his dark magic clashing with our elemental powers. The beast, confused by the new combatants, turned on Shroud, giving us a moment to regroup. Alara, with the orb now glowing steadily, managed to calm the beast, sending it back into slumber. But the fight had left us exhausted, our alliances shattered by betrayal. As the dust settled, Alara looked at me, her eyes serious. This orb is not just about control, it's about unity. We need true allies, or this land will fall. And so, with the orb secured but our unity broken, we knew our journey was far from over. The next step? Find those who would stand with us, not just for power, but for the future of Monsterland. After the clash at the Nexus, we regrouped, Alara now the unspoken leader with the orb's power. We needed true allies, not just fighters, but believers in a united Monsterland. Our first stop was the Sky Kingdom, where King Arrow once ruled, now a land of chaos with Arrow himself a beast. We found survivors, scared but willing to listen. Alara shared the orb's power, giving them control over the winds, a sign of trust. However, suspicion lingered. I noticed one survivor, always watching Alara, his eyes full of a hunger for power. I kept an eye on him, my gut telling me trouble was brewing. We left the Sky Kingdom with new allies, but no sooner had we set out when an ambush hit us. King Shroud, having escaped, attacked with his dark minions. The fight was fierce, but our new Sky allies turned the tide, using their newfound powers to create blinding storms. In the aftermath, I caught the suspicious survivor whispering to one of Shroud's minions, planning to betray us at the next opportunity. I confronted him, leading to a quick duel where I proved my suspicions right. He fled, but now we knew our trust had to be earned, not given. We journeyed to the Water Kingdom next, hoping to sway King Maris. We found him in turmoil, his kingdom flooded by the beast's awakening. Alara proposed a pact, share the orb's power for control over water, in exchange for his loyalty. Maris agreed, but the twist came when we learned he had a secret daughter, kept hidden for her safety. She, like Alara, had potential power over water. This revelation was a shock. We had another like Alara, but untrained. Training her was our next goal, but the training was cut short. King Gorith, not one to give up, attacked with an army of earth golems. The battle near the water's edge was chaotic, but Alara and the new water princess managed to create a massive wave that swept the golems away. Yet, amidst the victory, I saw Maris' daughter, her eyes not on victory, but on the orb with a greed similar to the betrayer from the sky. Was this another potential betrayal brewing? With Maris now on our side, we moved to the Fire Kingdom, where King Blaze awaited. Surprisingly, he had already gathered a council of fire creatures, believing in the prophecy's unity. But here, another twist. The healer from the Nexus, thought dead, appeared, revealing he had faked his death to spy on us. A tense standoff followed, but Blaze, with his wisdom, had a plan. He proposed a trial by fire for the healer, testing his loyalty. The healer passed, proving his change of heart, but the distrust was sown. With our allies now including elements of fire, water, sky, and earth, we faced our biggest challenge yet, the awakening of another ancient beast, this time beneath the Ice Kingdom. We ventured into the ice, the cold biting at us. There, we found King Zoller, his kingdom shattered, his power waning. He knew the beast was coming but was powerless alone. Alara, with the orb, empowered us all, creating a combined force of elements strong enough to face the beast. As we fought, Zoller whispered, "There's more than one prophecy. Alara is not the only key." This revelation left us stunned as we battled, the beast finally subdued by our united power. But with this victory came the realization, Our journey was far from over. More prophecies, more keys, and more battles awaited us in this land of monsters and magic. After subduing the beast in the Ice Kingdom, we were left with Zoller's cryptic words about multiple prophecies. We needed answers, so we headed to the oldest library in Monsterland, hidden deep within the Shadow Realm. The library was vast, filled with ancient tomes and scrolls. Alara, with her newfound allies, searched for anything on the prophecies. We found an old book, its pages brittle, detailing not one but 3 prophecies, each with its own key or guardian. The first prophecy was about Alara, the balancer, but the others? One spoke of a destroyer born from shadow, and the third, a healer from the light. This was new. We had thought Alara was the only one. As we pored over the texts, a shadow moved among the shelves. King Shroud, still lurking, attacked, trying to burn the prophecies. But the library had its own defenses, ancient spells that repelled him. In the chaos, I saw something odd. Maris' daughter, her hands glowing with water, not helping but subtly directing water towards our scrolls. Was she trying to erase the prophecies? Before I could confront her, another twist. A mysterious figure stepped from the shadows, a being of light, announcing herself as the healer. She healed our burns from Shroud's attack, confirming the prophecy. With this healer, now named Leora, we had 2 keys but needed the third, the destroyer. Leora whispered she knew where to find him, in the darkest part of the Shadow Realm, a place called the Abyss. We journeyed there, the path dark and treacherous. In the Abyss, we met the destroyer, a creature named Draken, all shadow and rage. He was initially hostile, but Leora's light calmed him, revealing his true purpose, not to destroy, but to dismantle the old corrupt systems. But just as alliances were forming, another betrayal. Maris' daughter, named Saren, tried to take the orb, claiming her place was as a ruler, not a follower. A battle ensued, water against earth and fire. Saren was powerful, but she underestimated Alara and Leora's combined might. With Draken's shadow, we managed to bind Saren, though she escaped, leaving us with a bitter taste of betrayal. With all 3 keys together, our power was immense, but so was our responsibility. We returned to the Nexus Point, now our base, to plan our next move. The land was still in turmoil, with minor beasts awakened by the chaos. Our plan was to use the combined powers of all 3 keys to restore balance, but just as we prepared, King Gorith, with what remained of his forces, launched an all-out attack, believing in might over unity. The battle was epic, Earth against combined elements. But then, from the chaos, Saren reappeared, not to fight us but to join us. She had seen the error of her ways, or so she claimed. Could we trust her? With Saren's water, we unleashed a force that reshaped the battlefield, turning Goritha's might against him. His defeat was swift, but as we celebrated, Alara felt something, another beast, far more ancient, was stirring. This was no minor beast, but the progenitor of all, the one the prophecies spoke of needing all 3 keys to control. We knew then, our journey wasn't just about unity or power, it was about survival. As we prepared for this ultimate challenge, the story of Monsterland was far from its end, with new alliances, betrayals, and mysteries still to unfold. We knew we had to find this ancient beast before it wrecked everything. Alara, Leora, Draken, and even Saren joined forces. We headed to the core, the heart of Monsterland, where the legends said this beast slept. The journey was tough, with the land reacting to the beast's stirring. Trees moved, rivers boiled, and the sky darkened. We reached a cave, its entrance glowing with an eerie light. Inside, it was like walking through history. Ancient statues of kings and beasts lined the walls. But then, another twist. King Vex, thought to be dead after our last battle, was there, guarding the entrance. He wasn't alone. He had gathered remnants of all the defeated king's armies. "I'll control this beast or die trying," he declared. We fought, but this time, with all our elemental powers combined, we were stronger. Vex was defeated, but not before he unleashed a trap, a swarm of shadow creatures. Draken, the destroyer, used his shadows to control them, turning them against Vex. We moved deeper into the cave, finding ourselves in a massive chamber where the beast lay, its size beyond comprehension, its sleep restless. Alara, with the orb, tried to calm it, but it was resisting, its power immense. Leora, with her healing light, attempted to soothe the beast's pain, but it was too far gone. Draken suggested we needed to bind it, not just calm it. But how? Saren, showing true repentance, offered her water to create a barrier around the beast, while Alara used earth to anchor it. But as we did this, another surprise, the beast wasn't one but two, conjoined twins of ancient power. One was chaos, the other order. Binding them meant balancing their dual nature. We worked together, each using their element to weave a spell of containment. But just as we thought we had it, the chaos twin broke free, attacking. In the chaos, I saw something odd. One of our allies, a fire mage, was not fighting but watching, waiting. Before I could react, he moved towards the orb, clearly aiming to take control. Alara caught him, using earth to bind him. He confessed he was a spy for a new threat, a faction of rebels who wanted to use the beast's power to overthrow all. With this revelation, we knew our fight was far from over. We managed to bind both beasts, but the strain on the orb was visible. It glowed intensely, then dimmed, signaling its limits. As we left the cave, the land calmed, but the sky was still dark with the promise of more battles. We had contained one threat, but another loomed, this faction with ambitions of chaos. We returned to our base, now not just allies but siblings in arms, knowing that Monsterland's peace was fragile, and our journey was just beginning anew, with new enemies, new allies, and perhaps new prophecies yet to be discovered. Back at our base, we knew we couldn't just sit tight. We needed to find this new rebel faction before they struck. Alara decided we'd go undercover, infiltrating their ranks. We split up, each of us using our unique skills to blend in. I joined a group of traders known to deal with the rebels, my fire magic hidden under a cloak. I heard whispers of a gathering in the neutral lands, a place without kings or beasts. Arriving there, I saw a mix of creatures, some I'd fought against, others I'd never seen. They were planning something big, a coup using the Chaos Twins' power. But then another twist. I spotted Saren, who was supposed to be with us, mingling with the leaders. I confronted her, but she whispered, "I'm here to learn, not betray." It was risky, but I believed her. She led me to a secret meeting where the faction's leader, a shadowy figure named Reyes, revealed his plan to free the Chaos Twin. Just as I thought we'd get caught, Alara, Leora, and Draken appeared, having followed my trail. The confrontation was immediate. Reyes, with his dark magic, was powerful, but together, we were stronger. During the fight, I noticed one of the rebels, a water nymph, acting suspiciously. She was subtly draining our strength with each spell. I pointed her out, and Leora used her light to reveal her true allegiance. She was a double agent, sent by King Shroud, who was still pulling strings from the shadows. With this revelation, the battle turned. We captured Reyes, but not before he triggered a trap. The ground beneath us opened, revealing a network of tunnels leading back to the core. He wanted the Chaos Twin free, no matter the cost. We chased him through the tunnels, which were filled with traps and beasts loyal to his cause. Finally, we cornered him near the chamber where we'd bound the twins. Reyes tried to unleash the Chaos Twin, but Alara, quick with the orb, reinforced the bindings. But the Chaos Twin, sensing freedom, fought back harder, shaking the very foundations of Monsterland. Draken, using his shadow, created a barrier, while Leora healed the damage. Saren, proving her loyalty, used her water to cool the rising heat from the struggle. In the chaos, I found a scroll on Reyes. It wasn't just about freeing the beast, it was about starting a new era where chaos ruled. He believed in a prophecy where chaos was the true order. We managed to subdue the twin again, but the orb was damaged in the process. It no longer glowed with its full power, a sign that we needed to find a way to repair it or find something else to keep the balance. As we left the core, now more united, the land was still trembling, a reminder of our narrow escape. We knew peace was temporary. With the orb weakened, we had to find a solution, fast. And so, our story continued, with new threats, old enemies, and the ever-present need to keep Monsterland from falling into chaos once more. With the orb damaged, we knew we needed to find a way to fix it or find a new source of power. Alara remembered an old tale about the Crystal of Harmony, hidden in the crystal caverns, said to amplify or repair magical artifacts. We set off, the journey taking us through the treacherous crystal mountains. Each step was like walking on glass, sharp and reflective. As we moved deeper, the crystals began to hum, resonating with the orb. But then, another twist. We weren't alone. King Shroud, having survived our last encounter, had followed us, bringing with him a group of shadow creatures. He wanted the crystal for himself, to amplify his dark powers. The battle in the caverns was unlike any before. The crystals reflected our magic, making every spell unpredictable. Leora's light created dazzling illusions, while Draken's shadows moved through the crystals, confusing Shroud's forces. I noticed Shroud was particularly focused on Alara, his eyes filled with a hunger for her power. As we fought, I caught him trying to isolate her from us, aiming to take the orb. Saren, quick to react, used her water to create a barrier, protecting Alara. But in that moment of distraction, Shroud managed to grab part of the orb, revealing another shocking twist. He had a piece of the crystal already, stolen from a previous expedition. With this piece, he tried to corrupt the orb, turning its power to darkness. But Alara, using her connection to the earth, managed to counteract, stabilizing the orb enough to keep it from falling into darkness completely. The fight reached its peak when Shroud unleashed a wave of dark energy, shattering many of the surrounding crystals. But from the destruction, something unexpected, the Crystal of Harmony itself, glowing with a pure light, untouched by Shroud's corruption. Alara, with the orb, approached the crystal. As they touched, there was a burst of light, repairing the orb but also revealing a hidden chamber behind the crystal, filled with ancient writings and artifacts. In this chamber, we found a map, not just of Monsterland but of hidden realms beyond, realms of pure magic and untouched by the chaos we knew. But there was no time to explore. Shroud was not giving up. He attacked again, desperate now, but we were ready. With the orb fully restored, Alara unleashed a wave of balanced energy, not just defeating Shroud but also sealing him away with the crystal's power into a crystal prison. As we left the caverns, now with the orb at full strength and a new map, we felt a mixture of relief and worry. The map promised new allies or new threats, and with it, the possibility of more powerful artifacts or dangers. But just as we thought we could catch our breath, another surprise, a message from an unknown source, written in the language of the ancients, found among the artifacts. It warned of an impending convergence of all realms, where chaos and order would clash like never before. Our journey, it seemed, was far from over. With new paths to explore, new enemies to face, and the ever-looming threat of the realm's convergence, our tale in Monsterland was just beginning its next chapter. With the map in hand and the orb now whole, we knew our next step was to explore these new realms. But first, we had to deal with the message of the convergence. We returned to our base, where Alara used her connection with the earth to interpret the ancient script. It spoke of a time when all realms would merge, bringing either unprecedented peace or total destruction. Our plan was to find allies in these new realms, but before we could set out, a new threat emerged. The ground shook, and from the horizon, we saw dark clouds gathering, not of storm but of an army, a force from one of these unknown realms. We prepared for battle, but then, another twist, the army was led by none other than Arrow, who we thought was trapped as a beast. He had somehow escaped, his body now a hybrid of man and beast, his power magnified. The battle was fierce. Arrow used the winds to scatter our forces, but we countered. Alara, with the orb, created barriers, while Draken's shadows enveloped the air, making Arrow's control over wind useless. In the chaos, I noticed one of our own, a seemingly loyal Earth mage, acting oddly. He was subtly steering the battle towards our disadvantage. Before I could confront him, he revealed his true colors, turning on us with earth spikes. Saren quickly doused him with water, but not before he shouted, "The convergence will bring true chaos." He was a follower of Ray's, who had somehow survived or had a backup plan. We subdued the traitor, but the battle with Arrow raged on. Just when we thought we had the upper hand, Arrow unleashed a devastating wind that nearly shattered the orb. Alara, with quick thinking, used the Crystal of Harmony to absorb and redirect the energy, turning Arrow's strength against him. He was defeated, but his last words were a warning. You can't stop what's coming. With Arrow down, we turned our attention back to the map. One realm stood out, marked differently. The realm of balance, where supposedly the key to controlling the convergence lay. We decided to venture there, but as we prepared, Leora, with her light, showed us something we'd missed in the message, a hidden symbol, indicating that the convergence was not just a threat but a test. We set out, crossing through a portal marked by the map, entering the realm of balance. It was a place of serene beauty, but also of profound power, where every element coexisted in harmony. But just as we thought we had a moment to breathe, the ground beneath us shifted. A figure emerged, not an enemy but a guardian, the keeper of balance. "You seek to control the convergence?" he asked, his voice echoing with the power of all elements. Before we could answer, the sky above us split, revealing not just one but multiple portals opening, each leading to different realms. The convergence was beginning, and we were right at its epicenter. The Keeper warned, "Choose wisely, for your decisions here will shape all realms." And with that, the story of Monsterland took its sharpest turn yet, leaving us at the very heart of a cosmic event, with the fate of all realms in our hands. In the realm of balance, surrounded by portals to unknown realms, we faced the Keeper, his presence both calming and intimidating. "To control the convergence, you must prove your worth," he declared. He explained there were 4 trials, one for each element, earth, water, fire, and air, to be completed simultaneously. We split up, each taking a trial suited to our powers. Alara went to the earth trial, where she had to stabilize a crumbling mountain, using the orb to merge the chaotic energies back into harmony. But as she worked, the mountain started to fight back, revealing itself as a living entity, jealous of her power. I took on the fire trial, facing a forge that never cooled, where I had to forge a sword from the raw chaos of the flames. But as I shaped the blade, the fire began to speak, promising power if I served its will instead. Saren tackled the water trial, navigating a maze of ever-shifting rivers, where she had to find the source and purify it from dark influences. But the water whispered secrets, tempting her with visions of ruling all realms with water's might. Draken and Leora, paired for the air trial, had to restore balance to storm that raged without end. Draken's shadows fought against the wind, while Leora's light sought to calm it. But the storm was cunning, splitting into 2, forcing them to make a critical choice, save one half, or let both rage on. Each trial tested not just our power, but our resolve. As we worked, suspicious movements caught our eyes. Creatures from the portals watched, some cheering, others plotting. I saw a figure, cloaked in shadow, whispering to the fire, encouraging its rebellion. In the Earth trial, Alara faced betrayal as the mountain, now a giant, aimed to crush her, manipulated by an unseen force. She managed to bind it, but not before it revealed its manipulator was from one of the new realms, aiming to sabotage our trials. Saren, in the water maze, found the source, but it was guarded by a water spirit, offering her dominion over all if she turned against us. She chose loyalty, purifying the source with a burst of clean water from her heart. In the sky, Leora and Draken made their decision, Draken enveloping one storm with shadow, allowing Leora to cleanse the other with light. But as they did, a third, unseen storm formed, revealing a plot to keep us divided. Just as we all completed our trials, the Keeper of Balance appeared, applauding our unity. But then, the sharpest twist yet, he wasn't the true Keeper. The real Keeper, bound and weak, was dragged forward by the impostor, who revealed himself as the Chaos King from the realm of discord, aiming to corrupt the convergence. He unleashed chaos upon the realm of balance, merging all trials into one chaotic battle. The land shook, the water raged, fire spread, and the air howled with fury. We fought back, our powers now enhanced by the trials, but the Chaos King was relentless. In the chaos, I saw a chance, the orb, glowing brighter than ever, resonating with the true Keeper. Alara, sensing the same, used it to free the Keeper, who then empowered us all with true balance. With this new power, we countered the Chaos King, but not before he opened one final portal, larger than the others, from which a shadow darker than night emerged, claiming to be the embodiment of all chaos. As we prepared to face this new threat, the Keeper warned us, to close this portal, one must enter the realm of discord and seal it from within. And with that, our story took its sharpest turn, leaving us at the edge of a battle that could end all realms, with one of us needing to make the ultimate sacrifice to restore order. The dark shadow from the realm of discord loomed over us, its presence chilling the air. We knew one of us had to enter that realm to seal the portal. But who? Alara, with the orb now pulsing with the Keeper's power, stepped forward. I'll go. I have the best chance to balance this chaos. But before she could step through, a new twist. Saren grabbed her arm. No, you're needed here. I'll go. I owe this world redemption. Her eyes were determined, but I saw fear in them too. We didn't have time to argue. The Chaos King laughed, his voice echoing across the realms. Let her go, and watch your world crumble. Saren, with a nod to us, stepped into the portal. It closed behind her with a sucking sound, leaving us in a tense silence. The shadow, now without its source, weakened but didn't disappear. We turned our focus to the Chaos King, now our immediate threat. The battle was intense, elements clashing, the ground beneath us shifting with each strike. In the midst of the fight, I noticed something off. Leora, her light dimming, was struggling. She whispered, I feel drained. It was then we realized the shadow was feeding off her light, making her the weakest link. I protected her, using my fire to push back the darkness, but it was like fighting the night itself. Alara then did something unexpected. She used the orb to create a light shield around Leora, empowering her light once more. With Leora's light restored, we turned the tide, pushing back the Chaos King. But he was cunning, revealing he had another trick up his sleeve. The portal to discord wasn't just a passage, it was a conduit, siphoning power from all realms to him. He began to grow, his form stretching towards the sky, darkness spreading like ink in water. Draken, seeing this, used his shadows to cloak the Chaos King, confusing his senses while we planned our next move. Alara, with a determined look, decided we needed to close the conduit from this side too. She directed us to form a circle around the Chaos King, each focusing our elemental power into the orb. As we did, the orb began to glow, not just with light but with all the colors of the elements. The power surged, creating a vortex around the Chaos King, pulling him back towards the portal he'd opened. But then, another twist. The portal began to reopen, and out stepped Saren but changed. She was now part of the chaos, her eyes black, her control over water twisted into dark whirlpools. She spoke, her voice not her own. You can't win. Chaos is eternal. She attacked, her water now a weapon of darkness, clashing against us. We were torn, fight our friend or save the world. Alara, with tears in her eyes, made a choice. She directed the orb's energy not to attack Saren but to cleanse her, hoping to save her soul. The battle reached its peak, elements clashing in a symphony of chaos and order. Just as we thought we might lose, the orb's light enveloped Saren, her darkness receding, her eyes returning to normal. With Saren back, we combined our powers once more, the orb's energy now at its peak, aiming to close the portal forever. But as we did, a voice from beyond the portal boomed, "This is not the end." The portal closed with a blinding light, the Chaos King vanishing back into his realm, but the voice left us with a chilling promise of return. And with that, our story hung in balance, the realm safe for now, but at what cost? Saren, back but changed, Alara with a new burden, and the threat of the Chaos King's return looming over us like a dark cloud. With the portal sealed and the Chaos King defeated for now, we returned to the realm of balance, which was now calming down, the elements returning to harmony. But the peace felt fragile, like the silence before a storm. Saren, though back to her normal self, was different, her powers now tinged with a hint of the chaos she had touched. She was quieter, her eyes holding stories of dark places we couldn't fathom. Alara, holding the orb, felt its power had changed too, now resonating with the essence of all realms we had encountered. She suggested we needed to learn more about this new orb, its potential, and its risks. We decided to return to Monsterland, but not before the Keeper of Balance gave us one last piece of advice. Unity is your strength, but beware, for chaos finds cracks in even the strongest bonds. Back in Monsterland, we were greeted not as heroes, but with suspicion. The events had shaken the land, with whispers of new realms and unseen threats spreading like wildfire. We regrouped at our base, trying to make sense of our next move. Alara, now more connected to the orb than ever, felt it pulling her towards something, a new purpose, or perhaps a warning. Just as we were planning, a scout burst in, panic-stricken. A new land has appeared, floating above the Sky Kingdom, casting shadows over us all. We rushed to see it, and there, in the sky, was a new island, dark and ominous, its edges sharp against the blue sky. It wasn't there before. It was as if the realm of discord had left a piece of itself behind. Alara, feeling the orb's tug, knew we had to investigate. We prepared to ascend, using the winds of the Sky Kingdom to lift us. But as we neared, the island began to shift, revealing not just land but a fortress, its gates opening with a menacing creak. From within, figures emerged, not of Monsterland but of chaos, their forms shifting, their eyes glowing with the madness of discord. They were led by someone familiar, but distorted, a figure that bore a striking resemblance to Arrow, but darker, more chaotic. He spoke, his voice a mix of Eros and something otherworldly. "You thought you could seal chaos away? We are here, and we will not be contained." The battle began anew, but this time, we were on the defensive, the fortress spewing forth more chaotic creatures than we could count. Alara used the orb to shield us, but its power was different, wilder. In the heat of the fight, I caught a glimpse of something on the island, a dark crystal, pulsing with the same chaotic energy as the Chaos King. Was this a new source of his power, or perhaps a new form of him? We fought our way closer to the crystal, each step harder than the last. Alara, with determination, aimed to use the orb to neutralize it, but the moment she touched it with the orb's light, a shockwave of energy exploded, revealing the crystal wasn't just a source of power. It was a beacon, calling to something vast and terrifying. As we looked up, the sky began to darken, not with clouds but with the arrival of something immense, something that promised to bring the chaos back in full force. And with that, our story took another sharp turn, leaving us on the brink of a new, perhaps final, confrontation with the very essence of chaos descending upon us, challenging the balance we fought so hard to maintain. As the sky darkened with the approach of this new threat, we knew we had to act fast. Alara, with the orb's power now wild and unpredictable, tried to stabilize it. But the beacon crystal was pulling at the orb, threatening to unleash chaos. We fought our way towards the crystal, each of us using our powers to clear a path. Draken's shadows wrapped around our enemies, giving us moments of cover. Leora's light cut through the darkness, blinding the chaotic foes. But then, another twist among the chaos, I spotted someone familiar, someone thought lost in the battle with Arrow. It was Mira, the human leader from the Labyrinth Forest, but her eyes were now those of chaos, her actions not her own. She attacked, her movements swift and erratic. Alara, with a heavy heart, used the orb's energy to shield us, not harm Mira. We needed to save her, not fight her. As we neared the crystal, Saren, still battling her own inner chaos, suddenly turned on us, her water now a dark, swirling vortex. "I can't control it," she screamed, her voice a mix of terror and despair. We dodged her attacks, knowing we were losing her to the chaos. Alara, quick with the orb, managed to envelop Saren in a light that fought back the darkness within her, but it was a temporary fix. The sky above us tore open, and from it descended a massive entity, a being of pure chaos, its form shifting, eyes everywhere, a mouth that spoke in 1,000 voices. "You cannot contain us. We are the end." This entity, unlike anything we'd faced, reached for the crystal, its power amplifying its presence. Alara, with a desperate move, used the orb to connect with the crystal, hoping to turn its power against this new chaos. The orb's light clashed with the crystal's darkness, creating a storm of energy around us. In that moment, the ground beneath us began to crumble, revealing another layer to this fortress, a chamber filled with ancient writings, speaking of a prophecy we hadn't known. One line stood out: "Only through sacrifice can chaos be bound." But whose sacrifice? Before we could ponder this, the chamber's walls began to move, revealing they were alive, part of the chaos entity, aiming to crush us. We fought to escape, but as we did, I saw something in Alara's eyes, a decision. She whispered, "I'll bind it," and before we could stop her, she plunged the orb into the heart of the crystal, her body glowing with the combined power of all elements. The explosion of light was blinding, the chaos entity howling in rage and pain. When the light cleared, the crystal was gone, but so was Alara, her form now part of the orb, which floated, now calm and silent. The fortress began to collapse, the chaos entity retreating, wounded but not vanquished. We escaped, but the victory was hollow. Alara had become one with the orb, her fate uncertain. As we looked up, the sky was clearing, but in the distance, another dark shape was forming, a new threat, or perhaps the same one, reborn. And with that, our story hung by a thread, Alara's sacrifice possibly the key to a new balance or the beginning of an even darker chapter, leaving us wondering if the cost of peace was too high. With Alara now part of the orb, we felt a mix of loss and duty. We had to keep moving. The new dark shape in the sky was a clear sign that our fight wasn't over. We returned to our base, the orb now floating beside us, silent but pulsating with Alara's essence. Saren, struggling with the remnants of chaos within her, felt the orb's pull, a connection to Alara she couldn't ignore. As we planned our next move, Leora noticed the orb was glowing in patterns, almost like it was communicating. She suggested we try to interpret these signals, believing Alara was guiding us from within. But then, another twist. The dark shape in the sky started descending, taking the form of a colossal dragon, its scales made of the same chaotic energy we had just battled. It landed, shaking the ground beneath us. The dragon spoke with the same chaotic voices. "Your balance is an illusion. Chaos is the true nature of all things." Its breath was like a storm of discord, tearing at our defenses. We fought back, Draken using his shadows to cloak us from its sight, while I unleashed waves of fire to counter its chaotic breath. But the dragon was relentless, its power seemingly endless. In the midst of battle, I noticed something odd. Mira, who had been under Chaos's influence, was now fighting with us, her movements precise, her eyes clear. She had somehow freed herself, Or was she playing a deeper game? Saren, driven by her bond with Alara, tried to connect with the orb, seeking guidance. Suddenly, the orb flared, directing a beam of light towards the dragon's heart, revealing a core of dark crystal there. We realized this dragon was not just a creature, but a vessel for chaos, similar to the crystal we had destroyed. Alara, from within the orb, was showing us how to strike at its heart. But as we prepared our attack, another revelation: the dragon wasn't alone. From the shadows cast by its wings, more chaotic entities emerged, smaller but just as dangerous. We were surrounded, our chances slim. But then, the orb did something unexpected. It projected an image of Alara, her voice echoing. Together, we can bind this chaos. With renewed vigor, we coordinated our attack. Saren used her water to douse the flames of chaos. Leora's light pierced the darkness, and I focused my fire on the dragon's core. The moment we struck, the dragon roared, a sound that echoed through all realms. The dark crystal within it shattered, and with it, the chaotic entities began to fade. However, the victory was short-lived. The dragon, now wounded, began to shift forms, becoming something even more terrifying, a vortex of pure chaos, threatening to consume everything. Just as we thought we might be overwhelmed, the orb glowed brighter than ever. Alara's voice clearer. "Use me to seal this breach." Saren, with tears in her eyes, took the orb, knowing what it might mean. She thrust it into the heart of the vortex, the orb absorbing the chaos, stabilizing but at a cost. The vortex began to close, the chaos receding, but the orb was changing, becoming darker, heavier. As the last of the chaos was sealed away, the orb fell silent. Alara's presence no longer felt. We were left in a sudden quiet, the sky now clear, but the orb, now a dark sphere, lay at our feet. As we reached to retrieve it, a whisper came from the orb, not Alara's but something else, something that promised, "This is not the end." And with that, our story plunged into uncertainty, with Alara's fate unknown, the orb a new potential threat, and the promise of chaos's return, leaving us on the edge of a new, possibly darker saga. With the orb now dark and silent, we felt a chill of fear. Alara's voice was gone, replaced by a menacing whisper that hinted at more chaos to come. We had to figure out what this meant fast. We took the orb back to our base, where we tried to communicate with it, to understand what had happened to Alara. But the orb was like a void, absorbing all light, all sound, giving nothing back. Saren, still connected to Alara through their shared experiences, touched the orb, hoping for some sign. Instead, she was pulled into a vision, a dark expanse where Alara was trapped, her essence fighting against the chaos that now enveloped her. In the vision, Alara spoke, her voice strained. "You must find the heart of light, the only thing that can free me from this darkness." But before she could say more, the vision ended, leaving us with a mission but no clue where to start. We decided to consult the ancient library in the Shadow Realm again, hoping to find references to this heart of light. As we entered, the library felt different, as if shadows were watching us. While searching, I noticed Mira acting strangely, her eyes occasionally flickering with that chaotic glow. I confronted her and she whispered, "I'm fighting it, but it's still here." Just then, another twist. The library's guardian, an ancient spirit, appeared before us, warning, "You seek what you cannot comprehend. The heart of light is not of this world." He then showed us a hidden map, revealing paths through realms we hadn't known existed. But as he handed it over, the ground trembled, and from the shadows, chaotic beings, similar to those we'd just faced, emerged. We fought, but these creatures were different, more focused, as if they had a purpose beyond chaos. They were after the map, and one managed to snatch it from our grasp before we could react. As we chased after the creature, it led us to a portal within the library, one that hadn't been there before. Without the map, we had no choice but to follow, stepping through into an unknown realm. This realm was unlike anything we'd seen, a place where light and dark danced in balance, But even here, the shadows seemed to watch, to wait. The creature, now cornered, revealed itself as a messenger, not an enemy. It spoke, "The heart of light lies where the sun never sets, but be warned, to retrieve it is to invite chaos's wrath." It then disintegrated, leaving the map, now singed at the edges, at our feet. Following the map, we journeyed towards this eternal light, the path leading us through landscapes of glowing flora and fauna. But as we neared our destination, the ground beneath us started to warp, chaos seeping into this realm of balance. At the journey's end, we found a crystal structure, pulsating with light, the heart of light. But just as we reached for it, a massive shadow fell over us, blocking the eternal light. The Chaos King, in a form more terrifying than before, his body a mix of all the creatures we'd fought. He laughed. "You think you can save her? You'll only hasten your own doom." He then unleashed chaos upon the heart, attempting to corrupt it before we could use it. In the chaos, Saren, with tears of determination, used her water to create a barrier around the heart, while Leora and I combined our powers to push back the darkness. But then, the sharpest twist yet, the ground beneath the heart of light opened, revealing a chasm into which the heart began to fall. Saren, without hesitation, dived after it, her last words echoing, "I'll save her or die trying." We watched in horror as both Saren and the heart vanished into the darkness, the Chaos King's laughter filling the air. This is just the beginning. And with that, our story took its darkest turn, leaving us at the edge of an abyss, with Saren's fate unknown, Alara trapped, and the heart of light out of reach, the promise of chaos's return more real than ever. With Saren diving into the abyss after the heart of light, we were left in shock, the Chaos King's laughter echoing around us. We had no choice but to follow, hoping to save both Saren and Alara. We jumped into the chasm, the fall feeling endless, the darkness around us thick with chaos. But then, a light appeared below, not from the heart, but from Saren, her water powers glowing like a beacon. The fall ended abruptly, as we landed in a cavern lit by this light. Saren was there, her hair now mixed with light, holding the heart of light, but she was surrounded by creatures of chaos, drawn to the light like moths. We fought back, our powers now more desperate than ever. Leora's light seemed to empower Saren, making her water shine even brighter. I used my fire to keep the creatures at bay, creating a circle of light and heat around us. But then, another twist. One of the creatures spoke, its voice disturbingly familiar. "You think you can save her with light?" The darkness has already claimed her soul. It was Mira, her voice now fully corrupted by chaos. She attacked, her movements chaotic and unpredictable. We tried to reach her, to save her, but the chaos was too strong. In the fight, Leora managed to touch Mira with her light, revealing a brief moment of clarity in her eyes before chaos took her again. With Mira momentarily subdued, we turned our attention to the heart. Saren, with a determined look, placed the heart next to the dark orb, hoping to cleanse it of the chaos that held Alara. The moment the heart touched the orb, a shockwave of light and darkness exploded, the orb beginning to crack, light seeping through. But the chaos around us intensified, the cavern shaking as if the world itself was rejecting this balance. Alara's voice emerged, clearer but weak. "Take the orb to the nexus point. Only there can I be fully freed." But before we could move, the Chaos King descended, his form now a mix of all the chaos we'd faced, his power overwhelming. He laughed. "You think you can undo what has been done? I am chaos, eternal and unyielding." He then unleashed a wave of darkness, aiming to snuff out the light of the heart. We countered, forming a protective circle around the heart and the orb, our combined powers creating a barrier of elements. But the strain was immense, our powers flickering under his might. In the midst of this battle, I noticed something odd. The shadows around us were not just fighting, they were also retreating, as if afraid of something within the orb. Could it be Alara, fighting back from within? Just as we were about to be overpowered, Saren did something unexpected. She called upon the water within the cavern, creating a massive wave that pushed the Chaos King back, giving us a moment to escape. We ran, the heart and the orb in our hands, towards what we hoped was an exit. But as we reached what seemed like safety, another revelation. The path led not to freedom but to another chamber, this one filled with mirrors reflecting chaos. In these mirrors, we saw not just our reflections but glimpses of other realms, other battles, and in one, a figure that looked like Alara, but with eyes of pure chaos, a possible future if we failed. As we stood there, caught between reflections of doom and hope, the Chaos King's voice echoed, "You cannot escape. This chaos is part of you now." And with that, our story took its sharpest turn yet, leaving us surrounded by the reflections of our potential downfall, with no clear path forward, only the desperate hope that the Nexus Point could offer salvation for Alara and perhaps for all of us. Trapped in the Chamber of Mirrors, each reflection showed a world where chaos reigned, where Alara was lost to us. We needed to get to the Nexus Point, but the way was blocked by these images of despair. Saren, with the heart of light still in her grasp, looked at one reflection where Alara's eyes were dark, chaos consuming her. She whispered, "We can't let this happen," determination in her voice. Leora, with her light dimming in this dark place, suggested, "We need to break the mirrors, break the illusion." She started with her light, but it was like trying to burn through stone. I used my fire, aiming at the mirrors, but the reflections just multiplied, chaos laughing back at us from every angle. Then, Draken, with his shadows, had an idea. We fight chaos with chaos. He manipulated the shadows within the mirrors, turning them against the chaos, creating a path through the reflections. Each step was like walking through our fears, but we moved forward, the orb with Alara's essence guiding us. Just as we thought we might escape, another twist. One mirror shattered outward, not inward, revealing a figure stepping through. Mira, but not the Mira we knew. She was now a vessel of pure chaos, her eyes void of any humanity. She attacked, her movements a blur of chaos, her power drawing from all the reflections. We fought back, but every strike was countered by another chaotic entity from the mirrors. In this battle, Saren managed to touch Mira with the heart of light, hoping to cleanse her. For a moment, Myra's eyes cleared, her chaos faltering. But then, the Chaos King's voice boomed. "You cannot save her. She is mine." The mirrors began to close in, the chamber shrinking, forcing us into a tighter circle. But then, the orb reacted, glowing with a light from within, Alara's voice faint but firm. "Use me. Break the cycle." Saren, understanding, used the heart of light to amplify the orb's power, creating a burst of light that shattered all the mirrors at once. The reflections vanished, and we were left in a now open chamber, the way to the Nexus Point clear. We ran, the path now visible, but not without chaos pursuing us. As we reached the Nexus Point, where the energies of all elements converged, we placed the orb at its center, the heart of light beside it. The Nexus Point reacted, energy swirling around us, the orb cracking further, light pouring out. Alara's form began to materialize, but it was unstable, part light, part chaos. Just then, the Chaos King himself appeared, his form towering, his power at its peak. "You think this can end me?" This is where chaos truly begins. He aimed to corrupt the Nexus Point, turning it into a source of unending chaos. We stood our ground, our powers now intertwined with the Nexus, fighting back. But as we did, the ground beneath us began to give way, revealing a deeper layer to the Nexus, one that had been hidden from us. In this new layer, we saw not just the potential for balance, but for destruction. Alara, now more visible, screamed, "We need to seal this rift, or all realms fall." As we prepared to use the heart and the orb together, another sharp twist, a figure emerged from the shadows, not chaos, but a being of pure light, claiming, "I am the guardian of all realms. The choice you make here will define eternity." And with that, Our story hung by the thinnest of threads, at the brink of either salvation or doom, with the Guardian's presence suggesting that our battle was part of a much larger tapestry, leaving us to wonder what our choice would mean for the future of all existence. With the Guardian of all realms before us, the stakes were higher than ever. Alara, partially restored, stood with us, her form flickering between light and shadow. "We must seal this rift," she urged. The Guardian, with a voice like the dawn, spoke. "To seal the rift, one must sacrifice their essence to balance the chaos. Choose wisely." The Chaos King, seeing his chance slipping, unleashed a wave of dark energy at the Guardian, but the light being deflected it with ease, showing his true power. We knew we had to act fast. Leora, with her light now brighter in the Guardian's presence, suggested, "We can all contribute, but we need to focus our powers through the heart of light." We positioned ourselves around the nexus point, each of us channeling our element into the heart. The orb, with Alara's essence, began to resonate with the heart, creating a harmony of light and power. But then, another twist. Mira, still under Chaos's influence, attacked from behind, her corruption now feeding off the raw energy of the nexus. Saren, quick to react, used her water to bind Mira, but the chaos within her was strong, resisting. Draken, using his shadows, tried to soothe the chaos in Mira, hoping to save her one last time. But the Chaos King, seeing his control over Mira weakening, roared, "She is mine, and so will you all be." He summoned more chaos from the rift, dark tendrils reaching out to corrupt us all. I fought back with my fire, creating a barrier of flames, but the chaos was relentless, pushing us to our limits. Alara, with a determined look, spoke, "I'll be the sacrifice. I'm already part of this." She moved towards the heart, ready to give herself fully to seal the rift. But just as she neared the heart, the Guardian stopped her. "No, not you. There's another path." He pointed to the rift, where another figure was emerging, cloaked in both light and shadow, a balance of both. This figure was the antithesis of the Chaos King, a being of order, his presence calming the chaos. "I am the balance keeper," he declared. "Together, we can seal this rift without sacrifice." The balance keeper and the Guardian combined their powers, creating a vortex of light and shadow that began to close the rift. But the Chaos King wasn't giving up. He threw everything at us, his form growing, threatening to consume the entire nexus. In the chaos, I noticed something odd. Mira, her struggle visible, was fighting the chaos within her. With a sudden burst of clarity, she used her own chaotic energy to help seal the rift, her sacrifice one of redemption. The rift began to close, but at the last moment, the Chaos King made one final, desperate move. He reached out, his hand touching Alara, pulling her towards the closing rift. Alara screamed, "Don't let it open again." Her form began to fade as the rift sealed, her essence now part of the balance, leaving us in silence, the nexus calm. We won, but at what cost? Alara was gone, the Chaos King vanquished, but the orb now lay inert, and Mira was no more, her chaos dispersed. The Guardian, looking at us with a mix of sorrow and pride, warned, "This balance is fragile. Another rift may open, and you must be ready." As we left the nexus, now changed and more connected to the realms than ever, we heard a whisper from the orb. "This isn't the end." And with that, our story took its sharpest turn, leaving us in a world where balance was maintained but at a personal loss, with the haunting promise that our fight might just be beginning. After the battle at the Nexus Point, we returned to Monsterland, the orb now silent, Alara's essence seemingly gone. The land was at peace, but it felt hollow without her. We tried to move on, to rebuild, but the balance was uneasy. One night, as we sat around a fire, the orb suddenly glowed, casting Alara's image in the flames. She spoke, "I'm not lost, but I'm trapped between realms. You must find the echoes of time to bring me back." The echoes of time were legendary artifacts said to exist outside of our reality, capable of bending time itself. We knew this was our next mission, But where to start? Leora, with her connection to light, remembered an ancient text about the echoes being guarded by the silent watchers in the realm of echoes. We decided to go there, but getting to this realm was a challenge in itself. We used the nexus point again, now a gateway between realms, to step into the realm of echoes. It was a place of silence, where every sound echoed endlessly, and the landscape was a maze of reflective surfaces. As we navigated this strange realm, we felt watched. Then, from the reflections, figures emerged, the silent watchers, beings of pure time, their forms shifting like sand in an hourglass. They spoke without words, their intentions clear. We had to prove our worth. They set us a series of challenges, each testing our understanding of time and balance. But then, another twist. Among the watchers, we spotted a figure that looked like Alara, but she was not interacting with us, just observing, her presence a mere echo of her true self. During a challenge where we had to align the sun and moon in this realm sky, I noticed one watcher behaving differently, his movements sharp, not fluid like the others. I confronted him, and he suddenly revealed himself as an agent of chaos, not time. He laughed. "You think you can save her? Time is chaos's playground." He then unleashed a temporal storm, the kind that could unravel existence itself, shifting the realm into chaos. We fought back, our powers now clashing with the very fabric of time. Leora used her light to stabilize the storm, while I countered with fire to burn away the chaos. Saren, with her water, tried to calm the temporal waves. In the chaos, we saw the true Alara, or her echo, reaching out, her voice faint. The echoes are the key, but beware, they can as easily destroy as save. The agent of chaos was about to strike a final blow when the silent watchers intervened, their power overwhelming, turning back time to before his betrayal. They then presented us with the echoes of time, 3 artifacts that shimmered with the essence of past, present, and future. But as we took them, the realm began to shake, the balance disturbed by our presence. The silent watchers warned, "Use these wisely. Time is not to be trifled with." Just as we prepared to leave, a dark figure appeared in the distance, its form familiar. The Chaos King, or what was left of him, now seeking to reclaim his power through time. We escaped back to Monsterland, the echoes in our possession, but the threat of the Chaos King's return looming over us. As we looked at the echoes, we realized they could either save Alara or unleash a new chaos. And with that, our story took its sharpest turn yet, with the echoes of time in our hands, the promise of Alara's return, and the threat of a timeline where chaos reigns supreme, leaving us to wonder if we had the wisdom to choose the right path. With the echoes of time in our hands, we knew we had to act quickly to bring Alara back. We gathered at the nexus point, the place where time and space converged, hoping to use the echoes to bridge the gap between realms. Leora, understanding the light of the echoes, suggested we align them in a specific sequence, past, present, then future, to create a temporal bridge. We set them up, each echo glowing in response to the others. But as we started the ritual, the sky above darkened, not with clouds but with temporal distortions. Time itself seemed to warp around us, and from these distortions, a figure emerged, the Chaos King, his form now fragmented but still menacing. "You think you can undo what has been done? Time is my domain now," he bellowed, his voice echoing through time. He attacked, his chaos now mixed with temporal energy, making our fight even harder. We countered, Saren using her water to create a shield against the time distortions, while I unleashed fire to burn away the chaos. Leora focused her light through the echoes, trying to stabilize our reality. Just when we thought we were gaining control, another twist. One of the echoes, the one representing the future, flickered out, its light consumed by a dark hand from the shadows. We turned to see another figure, not of chaos but of order, yet with intentions unclear. This figure, cloaked in time's essence, spoke, "You risk too much. The future must not be altered." He was the Time Guardian, a being we had never encountered, his power over time immense. The Time Guardian and the Chaos King clashed, creating a storm of temporal chaos around us. We used this moment to reignite the future echo, but it was clear our actions were being watched by forces beyond our understanding. With the echoes back in sync, we focused our energies, calling out to Alara. Her image appeared, more solid this time, but she was still trapped, her voice strained. "You must hurry. The balance is failing." Just then, the ground beneath us shook, revealing a new chamber beneath the Nexus Point, one filled with ancient machinery, the heart of time travel or manipulation. We descended, the Chaos King and Time Guardian following, their battle now ours to witness. Inside, we found a device, resembling a giant hourglass, its sand glowing with temporal energy. Alara, through her connection with the echoes, guided us. Use the device, combine the echoes within it, but be warned, the choice you make will echo through all time. We placed the echoes into the device, the sands of time swirling, creating a portal. But as we prepared to pull Alara through, the Chaos King made one final, desperate move, aiming to corrupt the portal with his chaos. The Time Guardian, seeing this, allied with us momentarily, his power clashing with the Chaos King's, stabilizing the portal just enough. We reached for Alara, her hand almost touching ours when the portal collapsed, not from our side but from within the realm where Alara was trapped. A new entity, neither light nor shadow, emerged, its form an enigma, speaking, "You tamper with forces you do not understand." With that, the entity pulled Alara back, the portal vanishing, leaving us with the echoes now silent, the device dormant, and the Time Guardian and Chaos King both injured, their forms fading. As silence fell, the entity's voice lingered. "This is not the end, but a new beginning. Your journey has just changed course." And with that, our story took its sharpest turn, leaving us in a Nexus Point now changed, with Alara's fate unknown, the echoes silent, and a new, mysterious force now in play, suggesting our battle for balance was far from over. After the portal closed, leaving Alara's fate uncertain, we were left in the silence of the Nexus Point, the echoes of time now just cold metal in our hands. We knew we had to regroup, but where to go from here? The mysterious entity's words echoed in our minds, suggesting our actions had broader implications than we realized. We decided to return to the library in the Shadow Realm, hoping to find more about this new force and how to save Alara. As we entered the library, the atmosphere was different. The books seemed to watch us. The shadows moved with intent. We found an ancient tome, its pages glowing with a light we'd never seen before. The book spoke of an entity of balance, a being that existed to correct the misalignments of time and space, appearing only when the fabric of reality was threatened. But as we delved deeper, another twist, a page in the book changed before our eyes, revealing a prophecy we hadn't seen. When balance is sought with chaos, a new path must be forged, or all will unravel. Just then, the library's guardian appeared, not to help but to warn. You've stirred forces beyond your control. The entity of balance has marked you. Before we could ask more, the library began to shake, books flying off shelves, revealing hidden passages. We followed one, leading us to a chamber where time seemed to stand still. Inside, we found another artifact, a mirror that didn't reflect but showed truths. In it, we saw not our reflections but scenes from different times, past battles, future possibilities, and in one, Alara, trapped but with a look of determination. The mirror whispered, "To free her, you must see beyond what is, to what could be." It then showed us a vision of a place where time and space converged, a location not on any map we knew, the temporal crossroads. We left the library, now with a clearer, yet more daunting task. The temporal crossroads was said to be where all timelines intersect, a place where one could alter fate, but at great risk. However, before we could plan our journey, Leora felt something off, her light dimming. "We're being followed," she whispered, just as shadows from the library began to take form around us. These weren't ordinary shadows, but manifestations of the chaos we thought we'd left behind. Among them, we saw the Chaos King, his form barely holding together, his power greatly diminished, but still dangerous. He laughed. "You think you can escape time? I'll be your shadow until the end." He attacked, his chaos now mixed with temporal anomalies, making our powers less effective. In the chaos, I noticed one shadow acting differently, almost guiding the others. I confronted it, and it revealed itself as a scout for the entity of balance, here to ensure we followed the right path. The scout spoke. "The entity watches. Your journey must be true, or chaos will reign eternal." It then vanished, leaving us to deal with the Chaos King. We fought back, using our combined powers, but it was clear we were outmatched. Just when we thought we might lose, Saren used her water to create a bubble of time, slowing everything down, giving us a moment to escape. We fled to the Nexus Point, the only place we believed could lead us to the temporal crossroads. As we activated the Nexus, the sky above us twisted, showing not just one path but many, each leading to different outcomes. But as we chose our path, another revelation. The Chaos King had followed us, using his last bit of strength to disrupt the Nexus, aiming to send us into a timeline where chaos ruled. The Nexus began to malfunction, portals opening everywhere, and in the confusion, we caught sight of Alara. Not in the present, but in a future where she was free but at a great cost. The world around her was in ruins. As we tried to stabilize our choice, the Chaos King's laughter turned to a scream, his form dissipating, but his final words echoed, "This isn't the end." And with that, our story took its sharpest turn yet, leaving us at the edge of multiple timelines, with the fate of Alara and the balance of all worlds hanging in the balance, unsure if we'd chosen the path to salvation or damnation. With the Nexus Point malfunctioning and multiple timelines opening before us, we had to choose fast. Leora, with her light, helped us see one path that glowed brighter than the others, leading to the temporal crossroads. We dove into that portal, the chaos around us fading as we entered a realm where time seemed to flow differently. The landscape was a blend of all moments, past, present, and future, all coexisting. As we navigated this strange place, we saw glimpses of different versions of Monster Land, some in peace, others in chaos, and in one, Alara ruling with an iron fist. But then, another twist. We weren't alone. From one of the timelines, a figure emerged, not the Chaos King, but a version of Alara we hadn't seen, her eyes cold, her power immense. "You've come to save me?" she asked, her voice devoid of warmth. This Alara explained she was from a future where she had to become what she fought against to maintain balance. She warned us, "You must be careful. Every choice here echoes through all times." She then showed us a vision of the entity of balance, a being of pure time and space, its form constantly shifting, neither good nor evil, just balance. "It's watching us," she said, her eyes scanning the horizon. We followed her to the center of the crossroads, where a colossal structure stood, resembling a clock with infinite hands, each pointing to different moments in time. Alara from this future instructed us to use the echoes of time to align this clock, but just as we started, the ground shook, and from another timeline, the Chaos King appeared, his form now a mix of all his past defeats, but with a new hunger. "You won't escape me here," he roared, his chaos spreading, threatening to collapse the crossroads itself. We fought, our powers now amplified by the temporal energies around us. In the heat of battle, I noticed something odd. The future Alara was watching us more than fighting, her eyes focused on the echoes. Before I could question her, she whispered, "The balance must be maintained, but at what cost?" She then grabbed one of the echoes, using it not to fight but to open another portal, revealing a timeline where the Chaos King had won, ruling over a world of endless chaos. Her intention was clear. She wanted to merge this timeline with ours, believing that only by confronting the worst possible outcome could we truly understand balance. We tried to stop her, but the portal's pull was too strong. The Chaos King, seeing his chance, lunged towards it, aiming to become one with his ultimate victory. In the chaos, Leora, with her light, managed to close the portal, but not before the Chaos King touched it, his essence now split between timelines. The future Alara, realizing her miscalculation, looked at us with regret. I thought this was the way. Just then, the true entity of balance appeared, its presence calming the chaotic energies. It spoke, not with words but with a sense of understanding. Balance cannot be forced. It must be chosen. It then guided us to the clock, where we placed the echoes, aligning them not just with our timeline but with all possibilities. The clock began to stabilize, the timelines merging into a single path where balance was possible. But as we did this, the entity warned, this choice will bind you to the balance. Your journey will never truly end. With a final adjustment, the clock chimed and the crossroads began to fade, returning us to the nexus point, but something was different. Alara was there, but she was changed, her presence now part of the balance, her eyes reflecting the wisdom of all times. Just as we celebrated her return, another sharp twist. The nexus point began to glow, not with light, but with a dark, unknown energy, suggesting that our actions had opened something else, something we hadn't anticipated. And with that, our story took its sharpest turn, leaving us with Alara back but changed, the balance restored but fragile, and a new, dark mystery emerging from the very heart of where we thought we had found peace. With Alara back but changed, we stood in the nexus point, the air thick with an unknown dark energy. Alara, now with the wisdom of time, felt it too. Something's wrong. This isn't the balance we sought. Before we could react, the dark energy coalesced into a portal unlike any we'd seen, dark and pulsing. From it stepped a figure, not of chaos or order, but something in between, an embodiment of void. This is the shadow void, Alara whispered, her voice tense. A place where balance has no meaning. The figure, cloaked in shadow, introduced itself as the Voidwalker, a being from beyond our understanding, saying, "You've altered time, but every action has consequences. You've opened a door to the void." He explained that our manipulation of time had weakened the barriers between dimensions, allowing the shadow void to seep into our reality. He offered us a choice: close the void or face its endless hunger. We knew we had to act, but the Voidwalker's presence was unsettling, his intentions unclear. As we prepared to seal this new threat, another twist, Saren, her water powers now subtly tinged with darkness, whispered, "Can we trust him?" Ignoring her suspicion for the moment, we focused on the task. Alara, with her new connection to time, guided us. She suggested we use the Nexus Point's power combined with the echoes of time to create a seal. But as we started, the ground beneath us began to crack, revealing that the shadow void was already spreading. From these cracks, shadowy creatures emerged, their forms shifting, absorbing light and life. We fought back, our powers clashing with the void's darkness. Leora's light was dimming, the void sapping its strength, while my fire seemed to barely touch these creatures. In the midst of battle, I caught the Voidwalker watching us, not helping but observing, his eyes calculating. I confronted him. "Why aren't you fighting?" He smiled, a chilling sight. "I am the bridge, not the warrior. My role is to ensure the void's balance, not to fight for either side." Then, another revelation. The echoes of time were reacting to the void, not just to seal it but to communicate with it. Alara, sensing this, touched the echoes to the ground, revealing a vision of the void's origin, a place of endless hunger, seeking balance through consumption. Realizing we needed to understand the void to seal it, Alara led us in a dance of powers around the nexus point, each of us focusing our elements into the echoes. The void creatures paused, watching, as if curious. The echoes glowed, creating a barrier of light and time around the portal. But just as we thought we might succeed, the Voidwalker moved, his hand reaching into the barrier, pulling something out, a darkness that seemed to recognize him. He spoke, "You cannot seal what you do not understand. The void is not just destruction, It's part of the cycle of existence. With this, the darkness he pulled out began to expand, threatening to consume the nexus point. Alara, with urgency, shouted, "We need to merge with it, not fight it." We combined our powers, not to push back but to merge, creating a new balance where the void was part of the cycle. The darkness receded, but not before leaving a mark on each of us, a connection to the void. The portal started to close, but the Void Walker warned, "This is but a temporary peace. The void will always seek balance." As the nexus point stabilized, Alara looked at us, her eyes now holding a depth of sorrow and knowledge. "We've bound ourselves to more than just time now. We're keepers of balance across all dimensions." Just then, another sharp twist, the portal didn't fully close. Instead, it morphed into a window, showing a glimpse of another world, one where the void was dominant, and in the distance, a figure that looked like Alara, but with eyes of pure void, ruling. And with that, our story took its sharpest turn, leaving us with a new alliance to the void, a fragile peace, and the haunting vision of a possible future where balance might mean something entirely different. With the portal to the void now a window into another world, we stood in silence, the weight of our new reality settling in. Alara, her connection to all dimensions now clear, whispered, "We must understand what we've seen." We decided to investigate this new connection, but before we could move, the window to the void realm flickered, showing not just the void-ruled world but glimpses of our own future, each more chaotic than the last. Just as we were about to discuss our next move, another twist, Saren, her eyes now occasionally flickering with a dark void-like energy, stepped towards the window. "I feel it calling me," she said, her voice distant. Alara, sensing the danger, tried to pull her back, but Saren touched the window, and for a moment, her form seemed to merge with the void, her eyes fully black. She pulled back, gasping, "It showed me a way to control the void, not just coexist with it." Her revelation was cut short by a new threat. The ground around the nexus point began to warp, not with chaos, but with a void-like absence, pulling at our very existence. Creatures of pure void emerged, not attacking but absorbing the light and life around them. We fought, but our powers felt different, weaker against this void. Leora's light was like a candle in a storm. My fire barely flickered against the void's pull. Alara used her new understanding of time to slow the void's advance, but it was clear we were outmatched. In this moment of desperation, the Void Walker reappeared, his presence both a relief and a warning. "You seek to control what cannot be controlled," he said, his voice echoing through the void silence. He offered to guide us into the void realm, suggesting that to truly balance the void, we had to understand its heart. Alara, though hesitant, agreed, believing this might be our only chance to prevent the future we'd seen. We stepped through the window, the transition jarring, from a world of light to one of endless darkness, where even time seemed to bend differently. The void realm was a place where existence was questioned, where light was a memory. Navigating this realm, we found structures that defied logic, made from shadows and nothingness. The Void Walker led us to a central point, a void heart, where the essence of the void pulsed, a dark star in a sea of nothing. Here, Saren, driven by her connection to the void, reached out. As she did, visions overwhelmed us, not just of destruction but of creation, of worlds born from the void, suggesting it was not just an end but a beginning. But then, another sharp twist, from the void heart, a figure emerged, not Alara as we'd seen but another version of Saren, one who had embraced the void, her eyes now permanent voids, her power vast. "I am the Void Queen," she declared, her voice a chorus of shadows. She explained that in this realm, she had become what the void needed, a ruler, not a destroyer. "You've seen the path to balance," she said, "but there's a cost." The cost was clear when she showed us another vision, our world, not in peace but in a new kind of balance, where void and light coexisted, but at the cost of our identities, our very selves becoming part of the cycle. Alara, with resolve, spoke. We can find another way, one where we don't lose ourselves. Just as we prepared to leave, the Void Queen offered a challenge. Prove you can master the void without succumbing to it. She unleashed a wave of void energy, testing our resolve. We countered, our powers now intertwined with the void's essence, creating a balance we hadn't known before. But the effort was immense, draining us. As we managed to stabilize the void energy, the Void Queen smiled. You've passed, but remember, the void is patient. We returned to the Nexus Point, changed with a new understanding but also a new fear. The window to the void realm remained, a constant reminder of our connection. And with that, our story took its sharpest turn, leaving us with the knowledge of how to balance the void, but with the looming threat that one day, we might have to choose between our identity and the balance of all existence.